It's back-to-back nights of recruit intel. The Sooners get another commitment at cornerback. We've got other commitments possibly on the way and players to track. And maybe we'll even throw in some Brandon Sorsby going to the NFL chat as well in. More of that and more on recruit intel.
What's up, everybody? Chris with a K here. Chris Mason there. We're here with another episode of the Recruit Intel. We do the show every Monday, 8 p.m. Central. So definitely check us out. Go ahead and subscribe to all three channels that you see there in the middle. Hall of Fame College Football Podcast with Jason, Horns Down Podcast with myself, and Students 360. Chris Mason is pumping out daily content now on this recruiting trail, and so he is a very busy man. But thank you guys for the support across three channels and supporting that daily grind. Gotta give a shout out to our sponsor, Kaiser Performance. Check them out if you're ever in the Norman area or the OKC Metro. Definitely come up there. It's a great gym. You may see some familiar faces. Chris Mason, we got some things to talk about on the heels of last night. If you missed it, we did an episode last night where we broke down film and we talked about Brendan Sorsby. Chris Mason, I think that we kind of need to get the elephant out of the room, don't you think? I mean, I think that we may just need to go ahead and hit it off with that. Any kind of final thoughts about this? And you can go as long as you need to, but any final thoughts about this saga now that it seems like it's kind of basically it's done, but it's not the end?
Whoever Texas Tech hires for crisis management, they need to fire because they have botched this from a PR crisis management situation completely. How hard is it to just say no comment? Instead, they tried to play the victim card. Instead, they end up playing the villain card, and they've done everything except they've gotten all of the pain and none of the benefit. So it's a disaster for Texas Tech from a PR program standpoint. If I was Kirby Hocutt, I'd resign tomorrow. This is ridiculous. You obviously can't manage Texas Tech any longer. You're beholden to a key stakeholder. Because you know what you should have done from the beginning, and if you can't be the director of their athletic department, you should go ahead and resign. I think I just think Texas Tech looks like crap. This is everything that we all knew they should have done in the first place, and they could have come out looking golden. Instead, they're covered in crap, and from a PR standpoint, their evil benefactor has also been exposed for what he is. So Cody Campbell's rep has been dragged through the mud. Across college football, we all now know what he is. So I don't know how this could have gone any worse for Tech. It's a bad look. It's a terrible look, and they've still opened up a can of there's still the repercussions of this are still down the road. I mean, they threatened to sue their conference.
Okay. All right, Chris Mason. So you want to hear my thoughts about the whole thing?
You nailed the judge. You nailed the legal part of this. So go ahead.
So I was gonna jump into this, and I was just gonna say this. First off, it's an unfortunate situation for one party, and that's Brendan Sorsby. There are consequences to action. We all know that. Yada, yada, yada. I think we can get there. Premature move, basically, or not premature, but it was kind of foregone conclusion that this may have been probably the best thing for him to do. I think this was the only light at the end of this tunnel going. But shout outs to him. Hopefully he's able to deal with this whole addiction thing and be able to kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say revive the career, but just be able to, make a roster, develop in a program at the NFL level and be successful. So I will say that at least. But Kchris Mason is kind of a case of I told you so. Yesterday we talked about it, and like I told you, I was like, it can have the same subject matter, but when you look at the case that the Big 12 has, it's very different. It's extremely different from what the NCAA is arguing, right? NCAA has their bylaws, has all their different things, their rules and procedures or whatnot, but it's the same issue, but it's a different angle that you're going at. I thought it was very bold. You want to talk about PR move? I thought it was very bold to step out and have a false sense of empowerment, only because the judge gave you that, the district court, at the district court level. Again, I think it was kind of an error on the part of that judge making such a ruling to where he instituted a suspension, right? Again, he circumvented the process, and we'll get to that here in a second, but I think it was very bold of Texas Tech and others to come out and say that, even the Attorney General in Texas, because I text you that day that we both read that article, and he was talking about antitrust laws, and I'm like, everybody's throwing that out, and trust me, I'm sure he's a brilliant attorney. But when you think about it, everybody throws out antitrust laws and does not know anything about those. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a lawyer, and I don't deal with antitrust laws. I'm just gonna be honest with you. If I don't understand it, I'm not saying I'm the smartest person in the world, but if I don't understand it, I don't think that everybody else is gonna understand it in the general public. But I will say this right here, before you can even get to antitrust laws, which are built upon competition and basically racketeering and all other types of stuff, right? But, groupings and all, it's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But before you can get to that, you have to go back to what we just said, Kchris Mason, the process that you're circumventing with all the rest of the stuff that happened. How the hell is the Big 12 as a legal, active, breathing organization supposed to run its organization effectively if they cannot even enforce any rules or bylaws that you as a university, as a member of this organization, sign onto? So I think it's just one of those things to where at some point when the Big 12 got into it, and that's why I told you yesterday, there's no reason to be scared of the Attorney General, the Texas Attorney General, or anything that Texas Tech is saying, mainly because there has to be an argument. Your argument does not have to stretch to a Brendan Sorsby right now. Your argument can stay with what? I have bylaws that they signed on to, and they understand that they can be voted out, that they can be enjoined from doing anything. They can also X, Y, and Z, right? So if I'm not able to do that, and I'm not able to step in as a decision maker in this, we're obsolete, and that kills the organizational standpoint or viewpoint or progress, process, etc., whatever adjective you want to stick in there. That kills that process. So I just think that both from a legal standpoint and just kind of what you're talking about, just the PR standpoint, but also the public policy, right? For those of you, public policy is basically, is this something that's so egregious to the public that it basically is violating their trust? It's a lot of different things that go into that. But regardless, though, Kchris Mason, I think this was the right decision ultimately. And again, I don't think that this is over by a long shot. I think that there are some relationships that's going to take some time to heal. There's going to be a lot of conversations that are had. I think that Texas Tech is going to be upset, and I don't necessarily know if I can say rightfully so on the end of that. But I think that there's a lot of relationships, a lot of trust, a lot of things that have to be repaired as quickly as you can. I heard Locked On Big 12. Shout out to them. I was listening to them this morning, and like what he said, Kchris Mason. This will be my last point about it, but the Big 12 needs Texas Tech, but Texas Tech needs the Big 12. So that's that's a relationship that they're going to have to figure out pretty quickly. Whether it's just going to be, professional as usual, or is it going to be as close as they were trying to make it out to be, because they want, two teams out of this whole pack to kind of separate themselves anyways and kind of be that annual member of this 12-team playoff or whatever number that we're going to get up to, right? But, in conclusion of what I'm saying right here, again, I think it's the right decision. I think ultimately this was going to have to be the decision, because I think that the Big 12, they have the right, and they have the right amount of pressure to be able to apply to a situation like this. So I just don't see how they were going to get past this. I think you're on mute, Chris Mason.
Big 12, if I'm the Big 12, if I'm Euromark, I'm like, we're meeting and your guys are signing off that this is how things are going to be run, and you're going to respect how we're going to run things, or we're going to separate from you. You've already shown that you're willing to sue us and have your attorney general sue us, and that's not how a cooperative business entity works, right? You've already threatened how we manage things. So you're not coming back in good graces until you sign a document, issue a release that from moving forward, you are going to respect the Big 12's rights to manage their league by the bylaws you agreed to. Because if you don't, we're going to separate from you. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have to find another conference and go exist somewhere else. And good luck finding someone else who's going to want to deal with you from this. But I would also say, if I'm Hokut, I'm like, look, guys, we completely tanked this. I need to have control of our message. I need Cody Campbell to shut the blank up. And I need to be the only voice coming out of our department about things related to about Texas Tech sports. You're sure you're on the Board of Regents, but how often do we hear? We don't hear the OU Board of Regents, talking about stuff left and right. So, Texas Tech needs to clean house. And if I'm the Big 12, if I'm Euromark, I'm like, yeah, I need a press release from you asserting that you understand that you are part of a conference and subject to conference bylaws. Because if you're not, because your actions have indicated that you don't believe that. So you need to reassert that and recommit to this. If not, then we'll just draft up papers to remove you from our conference, and you can spend 2027 trying to put a football schedule together without the 9 Big 12 games that you previously were planning.
Yeah. And for those, any of those Tech fans or anybody that would try to say that OU fans are hypocrites, I guess you can date it back to, they try to throw in like Mixon and other things or whatever. They're just kind of like, look, two wrongs don't make it right. We talked about that yesterday, but those are outliers. If you want to go after anything, you can talk about the material stuff last year, but I can guarantee you, Sankey would have already let everybody know exactly what was going on. I think it's kind of just two different breeds right now. I think Yomark is in an interesting position because, again, he's trying, in my opinion, my viewpoint, I think that he's presenting the Big 12 as a serious alternative to the Big 10 SEC battle drama that basically clouds college football as a whole. Get what I'm saying? I think he tries to present it as that. And I think that, private equity deals and this and that, trying to always, keep everybody energized. It's not a circus, but at the same time, it's entertaining enough that if you're still loyal to that, if you're still a loyal fan or a loyal alumni, you're wanting to watch that product, right? So I just think that it's really interesting from that standpoint. But, like I said, it ultimately, Jason just texted us. He said it this morning, shocker. And I mean, it's just one of those things where it's kind of a foregone conclusion. I think that with the Big 12 getting in, they have obviously they have legal standing, but just in a sense, Chris Mason, if you will, they have a a really tall standing, if you will. That's pressure because again, we all know what the actual issue is, but they can go at it from several different angles. And again, the angle is I can't run my organization effectively because of why? You get what I'm saying? So,
and Texas Tech explicitly signed these bylaws. They explicitly they agreed to being managed this way, right? They gave away authority to join the conference, right? The conference says we're giving you these resources, you're giving us this responsibility. And we're giving you. I mean, they negotiate TV contracts for Tech. Tech has given them power and authority as part of the conference, and you can't do that and then say, well, but we're not going to listen to you because we don't like what you're saying. That's not the way this works. So,
all right. Well, Texas Tech, hats off to y'all. Hopefully, y'all figure it out this season. But we will continue on with what we're really here for, which is recruiting. Kchris Mason, we got a commit today, and I kind of think it's a big commitment. I know we talked about it yesterday. You talked about it on Jason's Monday pod. If you haven't checked out his Monday pod, definitely go back and check it out. But Kchris Mason, go ahead and tell us who did we get, and what are you excited about with this guy?
Well, Trenton Blaylock committed to OU around noon today. He's the cornerback from Atascocita, Texas, which is sort of the Houston area. Humble, Texas, as I think. Houston, greater Houston area. He's 6'2", 6'1.5", 180 pounds. He's a cornerback. He's the brother of Torrey Blaylock. And he's got excellent speed, excellent agility. He's got NFL measurables at cornerback that you would like to have. If you look at like first round draft cornerbacks, he checks those boxes. You know, he's nearly 6'2". You know, by the time he's gone through, 3-4 years of college, he'll be 190 pounds probably, 185, 190 pounds, and he runs a sub 4.4. That's just clear. So I think you take a look at the fact that he has NFL measurables at cornerback. He has good high school film. He plays good high school competition. There's almost zero risk personality-wise with this kid because his brother has been a good fit in Norman. He knows the culture. He knows the expectations. He knows the standard of what Brent's trying to do. And I think OU has an excellent cornerback coach in Lamar Morgan that can coach up maybe the rawness to his coverage game and take advantage of all those physical skills to create, potentially an NFL caliber cornerback. So that's the upside. That's all the potential.
Yeah, I think that getting in here, weight room is going to be one of his best friends. I think that again, he's physical and he's sticky and he's coming up to press, which I love. My uncle and I we talked after the pod yesterday, and he was like, BV loves to run. Basically he's running zone off of a lot of different things. Obviously, we know that's kind of his pedigree, but when you look at a guy like that, that's somebody who can add a wrinkle to the defense. Again, we've talked about it, Kchris Mason, what this defense can look like if we can get that guy that you can leave on the island. I think this guy has characteristics and the intangibles for that. We'll add his film right now and let you guys kind of mull that over as far as what we're saying. But just to run through his film again, Kchris Mason, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, we showed this last night, and you just watched his first play. The first thing I love is he's looking back for the ball, right? So he's keeping an eye on the receiver, and he's looking back for the football and picks it off. Mm-hmm. So, he's just doing – that's just textbook there in terms of an interception. So here, again, he's playing off the receiver, but he moves off of him to catch a pass on the right-hand side there and blows the kid up. He's physical. So – he's got a good frame to him. This is obviously his junior film. I think he's probably put on a little weight since then. Not a lot. Does the punch there to get the fumble. He's pressing right here. Does a good job. Sideline is your friend, right? Use it as a friend, and he gets a pass breakup. So he's got good highlights. He's got a good frame. He blows this play up, anticipatory, allows them to get an interception right there. He's down at the bottom on an island and does a great job on this slant, breaking it up. It doesn't look like he's going to get called for PI there, even in the Big 12. That's probably not PI, and does a good job. And again, I would have liked him to look back a little bit there, but he's sticky to that guy, right? He is sticky to receivers.
Yeah,
they're not open. I think he could. I think we'll see what he measures when he comes on campus, but I think he could probably. There's that whole tension between size and speed, right? So I think probably 6'1", 190, 195 might be an ideal weight for him. He's just physical. That's a physical play right there in the run game. So Chris, I do think there's some flexibility, positional versatility for him. I think he could be a safety if you needed him to make that move from a depth standpoint.
Yeah.
And I think he could also play some nickel cheetah as the nickel cornerback for you because he's physical, but he's also, you can put him on slot receivers. He looks like he could totally handle that. This is my favorite play that I said, just watch his speed here. It's just unreal. His catch-up speed, he's just catching that guy and stopping a touchdown. That's a touchdown unless Trent Blaylock is on the field and catches that guy.
He's very technical. I will give him that. I didn't say that last night, but he's very technical. I think that's something that you automatically like, especially being in that BV defense. I think that guys that are technical, especially on that back end, that higher upside in that in the defensive scheme, mainly because I think it's going to be natural for him playing when you look at his film, because I think it's going to be easy for him to kind of catch on earlier than maybe some other guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and he's special teams. He's shown good special teams play. That'll get him on the field early as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot to like here. And again, you kind of know the product from a culture, personality standpoint, work ethic standpoint, and that shouldn't be ignored, right? You recruit your own problems is a statement that we often make. And this kid, based upon Torrey and his dad Derek, is not going to be a problem. He's going to be somebody that hits Norman and is going to want to work hard and get on the field as early as possible. So,
I want to point this out real quick because, again, talking to my aunt, that was kind of the difference that he pointed out with Sherrard and Trenton Blaylock. If you watch this right here, to where Trenton Blaylock obviously pressing, doing that, loves that, right? But when you get to, I think, this point right there where he's basically having to he's still going, his feet are still moving. I think that was the biggest difference he pointed out, was that at times it looks like Sherrard's feet stopped moving, and I think that was something that was big for him when he was like, if you watch the film closely, that's what I like about Blaylock, but also like that he can press, he can play off, he can do all these things, and he's very instinctual. So I like the Sherrard kid an awful lot, but I think that this was a great pickup, Chris Mason, for what we're trying to do. And we'll talk about Sherrard here in a little bit, but I just thought that was an interesting thing to kind of point out, was that, again, he's very technical, feet are good, hands are good, and he's able to stick to his man, but also he's also able to kind of see, and we've seen that in some of these other plays, to where, hey, he's looking down and down in the field or whatnot. He sees the play recognition is something that's really, really cool about this kid. I like that. So definitely excited about this pickup.
Well, let's pull up the Sherrard stuff. We didn't have it last night because apparently I must have deleted the file somehow. So let me pull up the Sherrard stuff, because it looks like, I would guess that it was Sherrard or Blaylock for one spot. And OU's taken Blaylock. So I'm guessing Sherrard, who says he's going to decide on July 1st, is going to choose LSU. That's what I would guess right now today, based upon everything else we're seeing. So this is a pick six Sherrard has. It's probably the number one highlight. And it's an impressive play. And he's a big guy. Look at him right there. I mean, jumps right in front of that. He's a big kid, and he's gone. I mean, he's got good speed, and he's got serious size. And in retrospect, Chris, based on how everything's fallen out, maybe Sherrard was a little bit of a hedge against not getting Gabriel Osborne.
Mm-hmm.
And once you got Osborne, you realized that maybe the more versatile guy and Blaylock was what you want. Because I don't think Sherrard is a safety. He's a corner all the way. He's your island corner, in my opinion. So, he's got a huge frame, just really, really, this is a good, his deflection here on this end zone pass just shows you how big he is and his wingspan and everything like that, the pass deflection and how he can cover receivers. So, if OU had picked up Sherrard, I would be fine with that. But Blaylock, there's you can't underestimate the fact that he's a cultural fit from the get-go, right? That
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about any personality, work ethic stuff with Blaylock. You know exactly what you're getting, and I think that's key. And then, and now with the 4 cornerbacks that you have in the class, you've got Gabriel Osborne, who we think could be your island shutdown corner, right? 6'3", 190, 4'4", with some time with Lamar Morgan doing just exclusively cornerback stuff. He looks like he could be a shutdown corner for you. Then you got Michael Davis, who's all over the field. He can help you everywhere.
Chris Mason, hold on 1 second before we keep going. I want to bring your attention to this. This is what I was talking about right here. Watch this.
Sure.
So jumps out there, good, feet dead, right?
Just for a second. Yeah, you're right.
Those double moves right there, that's the thing that, at the college level, hell, that's what killed. Obviously I always said that Kenai Walker was at times when he was technically sound, hey, one of the best corners that we had on those teams. But as the game wore on, he got sloppy with his technique. But that last year that he was here, he kept getting beat on those double moves. I mean, that's just something, because you see that at a certain point throughout this film. It's just that it's kind of those stop and goes, different things like that.
Okay, yeah, I don't
fight on those things, but at the same time, right there too, like even with the plant, right? That recognition, like that's a great effort play right there. But you and I both know in the SEC that's probably going to the house. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm not necessarily trying to knock the kid, but I just kind of feel like there are some things I don't know how easy it is to teach that out of a kid. But I think that's something to think about too.
Right. So, I think it's Sherrard versus Blaylock. I think it's definitely like a first world recruiting problem, right? If you could get one of these kids, that would be great. And the fact that you have Michael McCrary, who we need to have his film on the show at some point, because he's kind of the ignored guy in the secondary. And I need to bring up Michael Davis to you guys at some point, so you can see kind of why I keep raving about him. When you've got those 2 players, and then you add 2 more, in Gabriel Osborne and in Trent Blaylock, now I mean that's a pretty damn good foursome at cornerback of different skills, abilities, and guys. So I like the versatility in what they've added. Michael McCrary could play safety for you as well. He could also, do a little cheetah as well, depending upon how OU continues to use the cheetah position. You're not always going to have a Kendall Daniels who can do everything, right? I think we know that. So maybe you have, we're certainly adding some linebackers who could be the big cheetah, more of a Sam linebacker kind of person. And we can shift to a linebacker conversation if you want. But I think, you've seen Blaylock, you've seen Sherrard. I think it just tells you that OU's doing a good job evaluating players and getting good targets on campus, right? I mean, you think about the DB problems we've had in the past. Having a choice between those 2 guys, I think just shows, okay, we're recruiting at a much higher level. Jay Valai was doing a good job there, and now Lamar Morgan is also doing a good job in evaluating and scouting kids and recruiting them. I mean, Trent Blaylock is in the interview I saw was very complimentary of Lamar Morgan, and that Lamar Morgan really closed on him and made a difference, which is good to hear, right? Because Trent Blaylock has been recruited by Jay Valai for about 18 months. So to hear that Lamar Morgan in 4 months has been able to land Gabriel, help you finish and close land Gabriel Osborne, and now help you again finish and close on Trent Blaylock is good. So, and Blaylock was, let's not forget, Blaylock was heavily recruited by Texas. Texas wanted him. A&M heavily recruited him, as did some other powers. So it's not like he's some, cast-off 3-star that nobody wanted. I mean, Texas wanted this guy. Ben G's usually in here, keeping me straight about whatever's going on with Texas recruiting. He's not in here tonight. I don't know why. That's fine, but it's no big deal. But, he was just at Texas for an official visit. You're not taking official visits in June unless teams want you. That's just pure and simple. That's a tenet of recruiting. So.
All right. Well, hey, real quick, people, you already know, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to all 3 podcasts there. In the middle, as you can see, let's keep it going, Chris Mason. I think we could talk about some quarterbacks now, right?
We can. So do you want to talk about Case Alexander, or do you want to talk about Brady Quinn?
All right, let's go ahead and talk about Case Alexander. That's more important.
Okay, so it's clear that it's a 50-50 fight, depending upon what source you're talking to and who you're talking to. You're going to kind of get different opinions on where he's going. I think it's very close between OU and it's very close between OU and Penn State. I'm not sure who has a lead. I told you last night I thought OU had a lead. My sources still think that. But, this thing's tight. I think we're going to get an answer in the next couple of days. He's done with recruiting. There's no reason not to make an answer, to come back with an answer. And, OU got the last official visit, and I'm kind of an old school recruiting guy and tend to think that makes a difference. So I just teed up his film, Chris, so we can actually see kind of why OU would like this kid and what this kid could do for the Sooners. So he's number 3 right there, playing kind of a Mike linebacker in his first. You'll see him. He's all over the field, but he plays like a Mike linebacker position. Does a nice nice drop, blows up the pass play. Good job. He's out here. You'll see he throws the guard away, causes a strip there. He's comfortable playing out in space. Takes care of that, wide receiver sort of screen pass right there. Again, he's back at Mike linebacker. He's got a big frame. I love this play. I think it's maybe his best highlight. If you look at him just tracking that play and making a tackle, does a great job blitzing off the edge here, tackling the quarterback. Again, he's comfortable in space, so he basically blows this play up and forces a tackle for loss. He's playing kind of a Mike linebacker spot, just smacks the running back in the hole, drives him back. So he's got some definite versatility. I think he's probably a will, but if he hits the weight room the right way, he could certainly be an every down Mike linebacker.
This is good film right here.
It is. He's an excellent player.
No, I'm talking about that like right here. This is good right here.
Oh yeah.
Shuffling good right there. Good.
Oh yeah. So he's doing a good job. He's got good speed, good pursuit. Takes care of that, sort of naked bootleg by the quarterback. Nice blitz off the edge, blows the play up. And he's comfortable out in space. So if you could maybe see some big cheetah out of him there, that play right there kind of tells me that's a possibility for him. But he's also doing some just classic Mike linebacker stuff that you just love to see in today's college football, right? He's, he just nice blitz, nice pass rush here, stops the guy from getting in the end zone, which is always, you never know when that's going to be key. Comes off the edge here, blows the play up from behind, forces a fumble. So he's violent, he's fast, nice field goal block right there. And it's easy to see why OU wants him, in addition to Cooper Witten and Taven Epps, who also have fantastic film. So those 3 guys, if OU could close on this, it's a great linebacker class. I called it this morning possibly the best linebacker class in the country, because I think both Witten and Epps are near 5 stars, and I think this kid is a top 200, top 150 kind of kid. You just look at the way he plays and just the way he reads and reacts. It's good film. I mean, you give Brent and Nate Dreiling this guy. I mean, I mean, I see potential SEC, all SEC type backer with this film.
Would you consider him to be like a carbon copy of Witten, or do you think they're still different?
They're so close. They're so athletic, so physical. They look like perfect wills for the OU system. But I think, OU's getting to a point where, again, if you don't have a Kendall Daniels, if you could put Witten and Alexander at will and Cheetah, that will work. I mean, that will work. This kid is good in space. That's a great play right there, just blowing that guy up. So just imagine him being coached by Brent Venables. So sorry, guys, my screen capture went off the rails there. I forgot to tell you about that. To skip that, but it's good film, and this is 4 minutes of really high quality highlights, and just blows that poor quarterback up, causing a pick, an interception. He's got good speed. Watch him tracking this guy from behind, so he's got good long speed. I think he's a great fit for OU, and this is a little bit why I think OU has been Case Alexander or nothing. It's like we've got Witten, and we've got Taven Epps, but if we could add this guy, let's do it. If we can't, then maybe we'll just stand pat. This guy's a difference maker. What we could do with him is what he could be at OU is very high end, is elite, and we'll add that. But if we can't find him, if he chooses elsewhere, we'll just stick with the two guys we got, because we're not just adding guys just to add guys.
No, that's true. I like this kid's film a lot. I
think it's good stuff. I'd like, and it would be nice if Steven Alexander, he was a good Sooner. For those guys that don't remember him, he was stuck on such average Gibbs teams. If he had been part of any of the Stoops teams when Bob first took over, he would have been like an All-American. He would have been great, and he had a good NFL career. So, and I'll get this last little dig in, Chris. But it would be, if we could get Case Alexander, it would wipe the last recruiting stain off of the Joe John Finley experiment, because Joe John screwed up and lost us Cooper Alexander. Cooper should be on our squad, should be a Sooner, and this recruiting would have been over a year ago. It's only the fact that Joe John screwed up this recruiting and let Cooper Alexander go to Iowa State that we're even in this battle.
I don't want to beat a dead horse over the head, but Okie says, I've never seen Alexander's film before. He's quick and a thumper for sure.
Yeah, there's so much to like on this. This is why OU's gone to the mattresses on this, to use like a Godfather term, right? This is why OU's gone as far as they have on this and not backed off and just said, well, we got two linebackers already. We'll stand pat. So hopefully they can win this recruiting battle this week and add him as another playmaker, kind of alpha guy added to this defense. Yeah, Dave Shear's bringing up a good point. The Kane Brackney kid has a Michigan offer and is visiting Michigan, and OU's just got no room for him. So he's a UCLA kid. He's a good linebacker. He plays at Bixby. So Lucas, OU went after Caden Henderson. He visited. He came out for the summer camp last year. They kept recruiting him, and they just fell off. He was not interested in OU. I think that was a little bit of the poor season in 2024 impacted him, because he came to the camp. I think just some negative recruiting and the stuff I talked about last summer, that OU just lost pace with some guys because of negative recruiting, and OU got on the field, won games, and turned that all around. But he's got another Dame, so it's not like you can really argue with where he's probably going to go. So, we'll see how it pans out for him. He's a really good player, but I know OU tried. But same thing with the Marcus Fakatu kid from California, who's probably going to Ohio State. he came to OU summer camp. He started at OU summer camp, but OU just lost momentum and just never could get back in his top 5. It just happens.
My bad, Chris Mason. I didn't mean to speed you up. I got confused. I thought you were talking about this kid, but is there anything else you want to add about this right here?
I mean, if somehow OU doesn't get Case Alexander, I think I have, and I'll be honest, guys, I've not watched a clip of this kid. But he's gotten good offers. He's getting some good attention. If OU misses on Case Alexander, do they roll back to this kid in the fall, bring him into Norman for a couple of games, and see how his senior film looks, and try and see if they can flip him? Yeah, that could happen, especially if Michigan if Michigan flips him. That might be something OU will try, but right now OU isn't evaluating this kid. Doesn't seem to be on his radar. But I'll take a look at his film. And maybe we'll bring it to an episode if he commits to Michigan. Since we have Dave here, and Dave's such a good fan, doing a big part of our community in here. If he commits to Michigan, maybe we'll pull a couple of minutes of his film up and take a look. You can't take everybody. There's a limit. So it's a good year in state. OU's passing on Titus Hawk. They're going to lose. Samaj Stanford's going to Oregon. Khalib Dillard's going to UGA, I think. So there's good kids in state that OU.
Who's the Samaj Stanford kid? Isn't that the kid that we thought was going to Texas?
Yeah, he's going to Oregon instead.
Okay.
And if OU strikes out at safety, do they roll back to this kid in the fall? They might. But he wants five. The story was that he wants 5-star money, and OU thinks he's more like a top 150 kid.
Okay.
So he's not physically the biggest safety out there. He's not a big kid. So, and Brandon Hall, as you can tell by the size of our 2 safeties this fall, we tend to lean in the bigger safety area a little bit. Brent's always liked big safeties as well. So, and you look at some of the kids that we are bringing in. I mean, Bodie Sparrow is 6'2", and he's going to be like 205, 210 if they get Bodie Sparrow. And Jalen Scott is already 6'2", 185, can probably be about 200. And the Jaden Fields guy they want is 6'1", 200 already. So, and Samaj Stanford he's 5'10", 180.
All right, Chris Mason. Let's go ahead and move to the quarterbacks right now. I know people are on edge right now because it's top of the ninth. Two on, and you got 1 out. The Sooners lead 4-3. So
it's so close.
Yeah.
It's so the quarterback thing has proceeded. They've had a really productive June with quarterbacks, right? Taliaferri came in for 3 days. Really loved his experience. Has talked about that. OU's probably in a dogfight with Notre Dame for him. Then Gavin Strung came in and threw at OU camp. Graham Simpson came in for a whole day, hung out with the OU staff. And now Brady Quinn's going to be in Norman for a day or two. So OU's going to have the information they kind of need to figure out where they are with the quarterbacks. And I think Taliaferri is probably number 1, and then I think Quinn is number 2. And the only guy who's not been able to get in so far is Trey Wright. He's either been at AAU events or 7-on-7. He was at some big 7-on-7 thing out in, I think, LA. It's called OT7. It's a big tournament. He was out there. So he's the wild card. So I think it's probably Quinn or Taliaferri. Apparently the G's a little silent, so it's like Taliaferri. So we'll see. But I think OU is going to try and push to land one of these kids by the end of this summer, Chris. That's the way it's looking right now.
You know who my money is on. You know who I want, man. Well, that's in poor taste. I'm sorry. You know the kid that I want to commit. I'd be happy with either one. I think both are very talented guys, but I definitely like Taliaferri. I think he's a really, really good quarterback.
You want to guesstimate how tall Quinn is? All right, let me grab this screenshot here.
6'2".
We think maybe he's 6'2", but we'll see here. So, Hopefully I can do this without screwing up anything else we're doing. Apparently not. Preview. There we go. All right. Save. All right. Save that. All right. Dump that. All right. Here we go. That should be. Here we go. So, all right. That's Brady Quinn next to Brent. How tall do you think he is, Chris?
Let's see.
He's obviously, that's Arbuckle on the right, who's like 6'4".
I'm gonna say about 6'2.5". Be honest with you.
All right, I think he's about maybe 6'1", 6'2". So yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation. So Quinn should be on campus with a couple of other players OU's heavily recruiting from Chaminade Madonna. So he's no relation at all to the regular to Brady Quinn, the Notre Dame guy. He's not a cousin, nephew, something like that. Stop. So I don't know. I think it's a great sign, Chris, that OU was able to get all four of these guys on campus as quickly as they did, and all four of them seem to be highly interested in OU.
And it seems like everybody kind of has a guy. I think I'm a Taliaferri guy. I want to put you with Gavin Strang.
No, to me, it really comes down to are we going to have the O-line to protect Taliaferri, right?
Yeah, that's another thing, yeah.
Because Quinn is the make shit happen guy if things fall apart, right? Or maybe make bad things happen if things fall apart. But the kid's really skilled when everything breaks down. But Taliaferri is like the super smooth point guard, right? If you're imagining an offense with the skill guys that we're accumulating and a big offensive line protecting him, and we got a run game to support him, Taliaferri will just light you up. I mean, just command of the offense and just spreading the ball around. So that's the question I have. Now, again, I'm not sure I made this comment, but my source that went to OU summer camp said the offensive line guys they're bringing in at camp just look different. They look different than the guys of the past couple of years. They're just bigger, better athletes. So, you've got Cooper Hackett, you got Caden Penny, you've got the other guys we talked about. You've got the guys that came into camp. So there's a lot of so if you're building an offensive line and an offensive scheme that has that kind of receivers, those big backs, those big tight ends, dual purpose tight ends, and you're just letting Taliaferri, command from the pocket. I like him a lot. I mean, so and then you go get the Flugens kid in 2029, who's the big kid making stuff happen all over the place, and you just have a slightly different quarterback in 2029 in case you need to do some things different there. But we'll see. I just worry about Bergen Catholic, New Jersey, and Notre Dame.
Yeah, you got to the they say proximity, the religious ties, different things like that. I mean, it's kind of a thing, and plus, we already know Notre Dame's not a slouch, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're struggling, and their quarterback, C.J. Carr, probably has a good chance to be an NFL draft pick, this year or the year after. He's playing better, so they're finally getting their offense going a little bit. So we'll see. And Brady Quinn is down in Florida. Connection to Chaminade Madonna, and and the kid, and can you rein the kid in, and if he's in a more you giving him all those tools, he's not running for his life every play. Can he do the stuff Taliaferri does if he has that kind of support? We just don't know that. So it's an interesting problem to have. Taliaferri certainly moving up the recruiting rankings. So if that's kind of where you want to lean to, Taliaferri looks like the higher. It looks like he's of the five guys, he's going to be the highest rated guy. But, Graham Simpson, it's hard to not watch that film and just watch him dealing as well. And knowing the kind of basis and what he comes in with skill set wise and coaching wise. So it's definitely a good first world problem, and it's somewhere I didn't think we would be so quickly after the spring game. I mean, the spring game, OU wins. All right.
I just kind of think the swagger is back, man. I mean, I don't know, man. I just feel like, and again, I'm with you, right? I'm with you when you're right, against you when you're wrong. But I would definitely say it just feels like Arbuckle may be here for another 2 years. I mean, I just get that.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I don't mean to plug their show. They don't certainly need me to do that. But if you didn't watch the Kevin Wilson interview and think that OU's about to get things going on offense, I love the fact that he's still pissed off about the 2009 Florida game and the way he coached that. I appreciate that, Kevin. We're all a little mad over that still. And then the 03 LSU game, he's like, yeah, I made us too reliant on Jason White. I forgot our running game. That was all my fault. So, but if you just listen to Kevin Wilson, the comment I love from him, and I think it extends to Arbuckle and maybe what you can start doing in QB recruiting. He was like, look, I'm here to make sure that we have an offense that can score 30 points on great defenses. That's why I'm here, because we have a great defense. Brent has a great defense, and if I can do that and help Ben Arbuckle get our offense to the point where we can score on good defenses, everything's going to be fine here. And he's right. So it'd be nice if John Mateer has a nice big year. It would be nice. We run the ball. It'd be nice. Wide receivers. If we're good on offense, based upon what we see defensively wise from spring and everybody who watched the guys in spring when we were missing guys as well, and how good we still looked on defense, it's hard for me to imagine that we're going to have a problem with QB recruiting. And I'm officially on the only guy I'm really like super on board with, recruit crush on, Chris, just so you know it, is the Flugitz kid. That kid I think is going to be absolutely awesome. I think that's a future 5-star superstar difference-making QB. I think that kid athletically.
Oh yeah, no. I mean,
the juice he's got.
Yeah.
We'll see what his sophomore film looks like, but I'm so happy OU's got early with that kid, because he's already getting. LSU just offered him, Bama just offered him, A&M offered him, so it was big. So, but yeah, definitely, guys. I'm sure if props. If you saw Lucas Kelly's post, props to the baseball team. That's UGA is a serious baseball team. They took out Georgia Tech, and now they've taken out Georgia. So it'd be nice if someone would knock Texas out, so we don't have to face those idiots in Omaha. But props to the baseball team. Props to Skip. Props to Coach Skip and everything. That's just great for the baseball squad. So anything else, Chris? We're nearly at an hour.
No, I was just looking at some other stuff down here, but no, yeah, I think that's where we're at.
Just one last thing. I think Corey Laga has visited Vanderbilt. That was his last visit. He's the tackle from Illinois we've talked about. I don't think the Jackson Lawler commitment necessarily means OU wouldn't take a commitment from Corey Laga and bring in 7 offensive linemen. That's what my source said today. They said there's a chance if Laga wants to come that they would take him as the number 7 offensive lineman. They wanted 6 regardless. They wanted 6, but Laga is a tackle, and they would add him if he wants to come.
All right. Well, people, look, we've been on here for almost an hour. We've given you guys. Last night we gave you guys an hour and a half. We've given you guys 2.5 hours of content between last night's show and this show.
And I recorded it, and I recorded a quick update as well. And I'll be back tomorrow. I'm probably going to do a video with some highlights of Mikael McCrary, because I haven't done them before. So,
Mason, here, one last question. We'll give a bonus question. we ask it an awful lot on the show. I'm surprised Lucas hasn't asked yet. I know if Topher was in here, they all be talking about it. But what what what's the number? What's the number that we finish at in this class?
So we're at 25.
Uh huh.
They obviously, Case Alexander's a take. Bodie Sparrow and Yahila Wolfgram are obviously takes. So is Jaden Fields, and they probably need another wide receiver, and they would take Gideon Gash. So 30 looks like the minimum that they're going to take.
Well, if we can get to 30, that's pushing it. Unc says 33.
I mean, if you know, let's just say, and I'm not saying this is happening. I'm not saying OU's doing this, but let's say, come this fall, David Stone has an absolute monster year, and Jalen Brewster's representatives say, if you can meet this number, we can deliver this kid to Norman. And Jim Nagy says, done, deal, signed. OU'll go to 33. I mean, if they can flip Gideon Gash this fall, they will certainly do that. If they can find a big wide receiver and flip him, that's an elite guy, they'll certainly do that. So there's a world where 33 could happen, but it would also probably put OU like number 2 in the nation recruiting class-wise. I think OU stays in the top 5, but after that, I'm not really willing to make any more predictions with all the stuff flying around. So we'll see.
Well, people, look, first 15 minutes of the show, we talked about Brendan Sorsby, so we gave you that. And then we obviously got into the recruiting, talked about Blaylock. We talked about a whole bunch of things, saw some film on a whole bunch of guys as well. So with that being said, people, I think that we're going to be on the outs. Chris Mason will be back with some more daily pods. Jason will probably pop out as well. I'm hopeful. I think Chris Mason is too, that we'll be back Thursday for a show. Hopefully it's all three of us. If not, then we'll definitely try to get on here and talk about some cool stuff. We'll hopefully be able to have like some top 10 type stuff, and then also kind of just talk about like whatever else happens on the heels of this whole Brendan Sorsby thing. But with that being said, people, we are out of here.